Welcome everyone. Welcome to Somnium Space metaverse. Welcome to my art and coffee gallery. And we are here today to talk with Andrea, aka Crowd and Palette, about all of these wonderful artworks around us. We had a little bit technical issues with my audio. It was all on my side. I don't know what's going on. I'm really bad with the audio stuff. It should all be working, but yeah, it isn't. So we had to use Zoom as the workaround. So for everyone that's watching or that would be joining the gallery, you can, but you will need to be either on Twitch for audio or on Zoom on audio. So I'm really sorry about that, but yeah, it's yeah, just a sort of my curse. There's obviously always something go wrong. Cool. So let's get from the audio issues to the to our artist and talking art. So hi Andrea, how are you doing?
Hi there, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm like I'm good. I felt like not with all these technical issues. I spent like the last 45 minutes trying to figure it out and reinstall everything, so on. But it just isn't isn't working for some reason. Just bad day. But yeah, we have this art city there in Twitch and Reservox there as well, and a lot of people. We have 10 people on Twitch. It's amazing. I love you guys. We have 6 people with me and Andrea on Zoom, so that's great. I hope that everyone can hear. Oh yeah, Yas can't hear. Yeah, so she will need to use the link. Yeah, there will probably be some struggles during the show, but yeah, let's go from that. And yeah, tell us where are you coming from and how did you become an artist?
Yeah, sure. I just want to make sure. I think I just saw Nima saying to up the volume a little bit on Twitch. Not sure if you can do that on your end. Um,
Oh, I'm
anyways,
like almost to the max, so I don't want to go to red. So yeah, I I hope I hope you can max it up on your end, but then it would be like distorted, and yeah, I'm recording to almost maximum volume, so sorry
okay.
about that.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure people are able to hear. Okay, so thank you again for having me for a second time in the last month or so, and appreciate you doing this with me. It's a beautiful space. You really have done an amazing job setting up all my works in here. It's such a really, really cool space. Just wanted to say that first and foremost. But okay, so for my journey, I think the majority of people who are in here are very close friends of mine. So, but for those who are not in here, my name is Andrea. I am a Canadian. I live in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I consider myself to be a multidisciplinary artist, but in the context of NFTs, I have primarily have focused more so on digital art. I decided to kind of just mint pieces that are in the realm of my creations and with my collage pieces. So all the pieces that you currently see in this gallery are all NFTs I actually have sold all recently within the last week, which is really incredible. And I still am like trying to let that sink in a little bit. But I got into collage about a year. It'll be a year this month. My girlfriend, Kristen, she is currently in this room. She is the one who inspired me to do collage art, and it is now my preferred medium. And the majority of the works you do see in here are all collage pieces. And my inspiration is all about the spiritual realm, and that's the big motivator for everything that I do create.
Oh, amazing, amazing. I see that here in the gallery we have, because it's a little bit complicated, but we have here a lot of different avatars, which is really cool to see how people like sort of look like. Oh yeah, and it's a little bit difficult to control no, the two sources. So yeah, I wanted to ask you to turn back, and you just did that. So that's really cool. We have like so many people today. I think it's a record. So you really have a lot of people that care about you, and want to support you today. So that's great, and we are going to talk about that as well. But maybe let's start with the spiritual aspect there, because I think that's quite. I wouldn't say like unique, but still, it's not that every artist would be going in this direction. And when we look at your art, it's inspired by women also, but then the symbolism and spiritual aspect is very strong there. Of course, as you mentioned. So, could you tell us a little bit more about your inspiration? Why did you went with this direction and with this theme, and why is it important for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was always spiritual, pretty well since I was a child, but I didn't really know what that exactly meant, at the time when I was young. It's like, what does it mean to be spiritual? And I was always into astrology, moon cycles, healing crystals. Like I've always believed in, to some extent, each of these things. But for a long time, I think in still a lot of ways, it's considered taboo. But I think it's become more of a widely accepted, all these, I find more and more people are becoming more accepting of astrology and spirituality in general. So I'm really liking that shift in the collective. And it really wasn't until I started training martial arts that really has helped me become more in tune with my mind, body, soul, because it very much is about that. I also was starting to meet people along the way on my journey who were very spiritual and encouraged me to explore my own spirituality. And that's where I started researching more about astrology, numerology, and I've always found an excuse to just learn more about it, reading books and articles. And I thought to myself, there has to be a bit of truth to this. Like, otherwise, why is there so much information widely available, about astrology? And so I wanted to kind of dive deep a little bit more into this, because I really like meeting new people. I love connecting with people, but I also am very analytical. I like understanding, why people are the way they are. Why do they act the way they do? And I find astrology is kind of like the blueprint to help me understand, why, when I meet somebody, why we're maybe different in a lot of ways. And it just really helps me to really connect with someone on a different level. So when I decided to do my art business, to start doing my art, I knew it had to be spiritual, because that is kind of where my journey was leading me and where I was kind of really passionate about. I always believe that if you're going after what you're passionate about, it will lead you in the right places. And so astrology and spirituality, they're pretty well my niche. And it's a very popular niche on social media as well. So I knew there's going to be lots of room for growth and expansion in such an area. And with that, I've met so many amazing people. And most of them, actually, a lot of them that are in here that I see based on the names, like pretty well all of them that are in this room, I have met along the journey because of that decision I made to go down the spiritual route. A lot of them are also very spiritual as well. So, or if they're not spiritual, they're very open-minded. So when I decided to do artworks like this, when it comes to spirituality, I really find that, because it's considered in a lot of ways, astrology is very taboo, I kind of want to make it more, I want to encourage others to open up to their spirituality. And really I want it to be thought-provoking. I want it to really hit them in a way where they can, ask these kinds of questions and, explore their own journeys in a way that, it may not be spiritual, but you know what I mean? It's just, I think I want my art to not just be a pretty picture. I want it to mean something. I want it to, it will be different for everyone. What it may represent to me is going to be totally different for someone else. And I really find spirituality really helps with that.
Oh, great answer. I think when we were talking last time, you were mentioning the martial arts as well, but you also put it somewhere like in the middle of the long answer. and I totally missed it and didn't ask for that, so I will not make the mistake for the second
That's
time.
okay.
And let's talk about that a little bit, because yeah, I think you are first martial artist or martial artist NFT artist that I know, so that's pretty cool. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? What is the martial art that you are practicing?
So the main, so when I say martial arts, I say it in like, you know, from a high level, but I train the art of Muay Thai. So, you know, for a lot of people, they identify it as, you know, boxing or kickboxing. It's pretty well both. It really allows me to use my body in a way where I can use all body weapons, you know, whether that's, you know, it's a mix of both kickboxing and boxing, I guess you could say, to make it easier for everybody to understand. And, you know, I was always very, very active. You know, outside of my art, I'm very active. It's one of the things that, you know, I grew up playing sports. So playing on teams, playing actually with all girls teams, co-ed and boys teams, it really has helped me learn group dynamics at an accelerated, like fast pace, I guess you could say. So I think that's really helped me, you know, when I'm navigating the space like this, or when I'm meeting new people or different groups, I find it has made it a lot easier for me to meet new people and make new connections in that way. So, but I got into it because, you know, I got to a point where I really wanted to do something that wasn't just active per se, but something where I'm able to be more in tune with my mind, body, and soul. And a few of my friends do train martial arts, and they told me that this was perfect for me to do that. And when I started practicing it, it really, really helped me open up to my spirituality in a different way. You know, like doing yoga has helped with that too. But training martial arts for me is one of the only ways for me to really be in tune from a spiritual side of things. And I actually can't create my creative mode work. How it really works is if I don't train or if I don't work out, I can't produce or create art. It's just one of those things where if I'm not moving my body or I'm not, you know, being in tune with myself, it's very difficult for me to be creative.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Why do you think is that?
I think it's a mix of different things, you know, like, you know, and I mean, in general, being able to be healthy with being healthy and finding ways to move our body is very important. And, you know, I just haven't been able to tap into these creative abilities at the same level as I have with martial arts. You know, I did go on a 10-year hiatus of not making any art. And I think that's for a reason. It's because I wasn't doing, there were a lot of things I was doing in my everyday life that was not allowing me to tap into this, you know, tapping into my body in a way where I'm able to open up these gifts. And because Muay Thai is the art of, you know, mind, body, and soul, that's what really kind of, it was like a catalyst to kind of just open me up to a whole new world, really.
Oh, that's really interesting. And why did you choose Muay Thai?
Why did I choose Muay Thai? So, people who do, those who do know me, I I played competitive hockey for a long time.
Oh,
So I have a bit of a
nice.
competitive, an aggressive streak, I guess you could say. So, I mean, in any kind of martial art has some sort of aggression and an intensity to it. Um, and I definitely have that quality. But I was never really interested in jujitsu, for example, is another martial art. I was never really interested in it. It didn't really catch my attention, but for some reason, watching, you know, a competitive fight, like watching UFC, for example, I do love UFC. That's another side thing about myself. There's something about it. I love the how respectful the sport is, you know, that the component, like the two people who are about to fight, there's so much respect there. Even though they're just ready to beat each other up. You know, besides that, you know, there's a deep level of respect there. And the amount of commitment and determination it takes to train for a competitive fight is like is this like whole other, like, I don't want to compete per se, but it's just phenomenal how much effort And that's when tears goes into something like that. So I really admire fighters for that reason. So I like putting that same level of effort into my work. And I'm able to do that because I am taking time for myself outside of my creative zone to take care of myself, to take care of my body, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I like that. Actually, all the martial arts that you mentioned, they are very practical. Not really, some, because on one side you're talking about the spirituality, so some people might imagine, I don't know, something like Tai Chi or this modern Wushu that is more
Oh,
about the
right.
movement and not so much about really like there's supposed to be some applications, but I think for many people it's sort of debatable in this sphere. So I like that, like you mentioned, the jiu-jitsu and yeah, the hockey and so on. So it's a nice contrast as you're looking at spirituality, or that's maybe how I'm interpreting. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you're looking at the practical aspect of the spirituality.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for me, it works for me to do Muay Thai to really help me tap into my spirituality, but for someone else, it'd be a totally different practice. You know, yoga is another example. Or even just going for walks, or just, you know, what everybody's preference, of course, is different. And I feel that, you know, if you're able to find something that you enjoy that will help you tap into that, then that works, you know. But for me, it happens to be a very intense sport, you know, but that's what works for me at the end of the day. So yes, it's very practical, but you know, with the hustle and grind that comes into being a creator, it's hard some days to find that motivation to keep going sometimes. And by going to the gym or going to be with a group of people who are there for the same reason, we're all there to better ourselves as individuals, I find that really is another type of motivation I get to continue doing what I'm doing, even on the hard days.
Oh, that's a very interesting part of you. I think I don't know, like I didn't know about that. Even if I'm pretty sure that you mentioned it last time, but I think you often like go just not the one that you are presenting like as the main thing about you, but still it helps to fill the gaps to be able to understand you better, I feel.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's more to me than just creating and making art. I like to call myself multifaceted. There's so many different things about me that, you know, a lot of people may not be aware of, but they're all very much interconnected in order for me to create the artworks that you see here today in the gallery.
Yeah, well, actually, just to notice here, you have Resva with Lady Avatar with the mustache. I love it. It's actually not the first, not the first one. We already had NFT Tori experimenting with this. I love how the metaverse is opening like these completely new fashion avenues that we didn't have here before.
It was I had so much fun setting up this avatar. I was like, I need like an outfit that really suits me. And then actually my birthday is in about a week and a half. It's Leo season coming up. I'm a Leo. I'm a
Oh,
zodiac.
nice.
So I was like, you know, it has to be red. There has to be red in here somewhere. So, yep, the lion's out. The lion season's coming. It's for everybody.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, let's go maybe a little bit more into your creative process, so we understand how
Yeah.
the spirituality connects to artworks that you actually create. So can you explain us more about like where you take your inspiration and how you turn it into the actual artwork?
Yeah, sure. So I used to be the type of person to plan out my art. You know, I'm like, oh, here's the concept that I want to create, or this is what I want to. But I've kind of shifted that a lot, especially with getting into NFTs, just with how fast paced everything is. That I tend to now go towards intuitive creating, where I create how I feel in the moment. So if I were to give an example, you know, the artwork that I'm currently looking at right now is my Provoking Shadows piece. It's right beside you with the window, with the woman lying down. This one's one of my more darker pieces. Well, to those who see the color palette, they would automatically assume it may be dark. And I think it really depends on, I mean, I created this piece because I wanted it to be thought-provoking. And at the time, I didn't realize it was going to be thought-provoking, if that makes sense. You know, I created it in a way where I'm like, I feel like I'm on the outside here. I'm so new to the NFT world, and I still feel like I'm an outcast. I'm kind of on the outside. And also only being about a year and a bit into my art business, I'm still a newbie. Like, I'm just a baby in the art business, right? So in a lot of ways, when you're first starting on the NFT scene, I think a lot of people can vouch for this, is that, you know, we feel it's like, it's scary. It's kind of like, we kind of feel like we're on the outside. And so that was kind of initially what started that piece. And then as I started creating it, I realized it was starting to become something bigger than that. And then by the end, I'm like, this is really thought-provoking. Like, I showed it to a couple of friends before I even shared it on social media, and they all told me something completely different. Said, oh, I feel this, or this is what it reminds me of. And they're all completely different answers. Like, there was no pattern. Like, they're all different. So then I realized later that, holy crap, this is a very thought-provoking piece, and I'm going to mint this, because it was never my plan to mint it. I just wanted to do something different. I've been doing a lot of divine feminine, sacred feminine, astrology type pieces with a lot of very beautiful women and dresses, and, you know, like, again, captivating that sacred feminine vibe. But I wanted to kind of get away from that for once and just do something totally different that people have not seen before. And this is what came out of it. And to date is still one of my favorite pieces to date. It's just one of those things where I didn't really plan it out. I let it just come into fruition the way it was supposed to. And because of this particular piece, that's how I continue creating my art now. I don't think ahead. I make what I feel in the moment. And at that time, that's how I felt.
Oh, it's really cool. It's really cool. Yeah, I like, after talking to different artists, there's this sort of common theme that's coming up, and it's basically like partially what you said, and that like, when you create art, you like use some symbols or some like basic structures, and you actually make it like not complete, you know. Like, you have the window, you have some story, background, foreground, but at the same time, it's like you could be creating much more details there, and to sort of really tell the story that maybe you had in mind. But by not doing that, you actually create like so much space for imagination. Yeah, it's what it reminds me is like this difference between a movie and a book, where the movie there's not much space for the imagination, but in a book you can create the characters as you see them, and different people will maybe see them differently, and so on. So yeah, this is really wonderful in this one.
Thank you. It's in a lot of ways, I'm happy that I got out of my comfort zone for this one, because for a while it's kind of felt like I'm the one that likes making some different things. I don't like making the same thing all the time. I mean, eventually in time things may become more repetitive, but I really got out of my comfort zone for this one, and for that I'm very like proud of myself for doing that. Because of this one move that I made, I feel like I've made some of the best art I've ever made, pretty well after I made this one.
Yeah, that's great, and it is really quite different from the others that we have here. Oh, yeah.
We got so many here.
Yeah. Well, just five, so not so many. You actually created many more, right? And if we would be looking at your Instagram, that's even more because you're not minting everything that you're creating. Do you have like some? How do you choose which one are you going to mint and which not?
For the most part, I pay attention to the what the audience says about it, or how they react.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for example, the one that's behind us right now. This was my summer bloom, my second piece of my summer bloom, but it was actually created for Cancer season. And truth be told, I thought, oh yeah, it's good, but I didn't think at the time it was one of my best pieces. I don't know why I was thinking like that, and I self-sabotage. I think we all do it. I thought it was great, but I was like, oh, I felt it wasn't my best, but that was a total opposite reaction that I got from my audience. I got a very strong reaction to this piece on Twitter and on Instagram. So it actually helped me decide to mint it. And actually, the person that owns this piece particularly is here in this room. It's Odyssey of the Heart. He loved it so much that he picked it up. So I'm really happy. I'm so grateful. He's a Cancer himself. So he felt very connected to this piece since I created it for Cancer season. But this one, it was just one of those things where, for those who are astrology people who are into astrology, I'm a Leo, so I'm a fire sign. I do have a little bit of water in my chart, but the element of water is all about being intuitive. It's a more of the emotional signs in the zodiac, and just being in touch with your emotions, your sensitivity, vulnerability, and that's something that I do struggle with. And so when it comes to Cancer season or any kind of water sign season, I actually have a harder time with creating such pieces. They take a little bit more time for me because it's something that I'm not comfortable with. So when I made this piece, that's likely the thought I was having was like, no, I don't know if this represents water energy to the best of my ability, but everyone thought I did. So it was really nice to see that the reaction was so good towards this one, because at the time I didn't feel as confident. So I basically just need to start believing myself more, I guess. But I
Yeah.
think that's the beauty of astrology, like because astrology, this is the thing that astrology has really helped me with, is it's set in stone. We have all the full moons, new moons, and the zodiac seasons are all set in stone. We can't change the dates, right? So because of that, it keeps me accountable to keep making pieces for such and such dates, because they're set in stone, and then my audience is kind of expecting it now. So for me not to make a Cancer season piece because I'm not comfortable with Cancer, or not sure about Cancer energy, that would just be a cop out, like it's meant to be uncomfortable sometimes to make pieces that you're not used to. So I'm very grateful that this piece was collected by a Cancer, by Odyssey of the Heart. That meant a lot to me, that he resonated with it. So yeah, that's an example at least for the one that's behind us.
Right. Yeah. Well, I chose it as the one to be put behind the stage because I think it works very well there, especially with the shining light on top of the head. Sort of like reminds me, it's like higher than the crown chakra would be,
Yes.
but still. And it's actually sort of evoke like if I would have to pick element, I would probably pick fire for this one. Yeah, because of the light, and
Right.
so mind I think is usually connected to fire element. So like because of that, so it's like starting from the water up, but then the centerpiece is the fire there in the star.
I just think it's interesting you say that, just because, because I do I am a sun sign in Leo, that fire, the element of fire comes very, very naturally to me. That even though I try not to convey fire in my pieces, they do anyway. So I'm happy to hear that though, because I mean, ultimately, I am not a Cancer. I do have some Cancer in my chart. For those who are into astrology, on my birth chart, I do have Cancer energy. But my main is fire. And I think that's what's really cool about astrology. There are a lot of artists, actually Kirsten, who's in the room right now, she also makes pieces dedicated to astrology. And the two of us always have fun with sharing pieces for each zodiac season change, because like how we interpret and experience the sign is totally different. She has more of water energy in her chart, so water to her comes more naturally, whereas fire comes more naturally to me. So when I look at her pieces, I see so much water. And in mine, like you see in mine, you see a lot of fire. So it's just, even though the interpretation of the piece is specifically for a water sign, there's still me in there. It still is natural to see that my energy's still there, that my presence is there. Because I don't want to be making art that's not me at the end of the day. So I'm happy to hear that you do see some fire in there. That means I felt like that was being as authentic as I possibly can be with making the piece.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, yeah, I had a question, of course. I just forgot it, and I was listening to you. So that's cool. So maybe we can take it to the next one, and we could be talking about the one on your left hand side, or on your avatar's left hand side.
Yep. All right. That's good. All right. Yeah. So I believe I'm looking at the right one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. This is part of my cleanse collection. This is number 2 from my cleanse collection. The first one I made is right beside it. That's cleanse number 1. We'll get to that later. But I made this as a second piece for the collection. I had so much fun making the first one that I wanted to make a second one. And I want it to be a little bit different from the first one in a way where I added some elements that I normally don't add. So you see a little bit more geometric, some lines in there. And just like the bird's eye view, it's a little bit of a different composition and view than I normally would. So again, that was getting out of my comfort zone for that too. But this one actually, again, as I was continuing doing intuitive creating, I call it, I didn't realize what I actually created until after I finished it. This gave me Aphrodite vibes. For those who are familiar with the Greek goddess of the sea, Aphrodite, that's what ended up, I say it was inspired by Aphrodite, but I didn't actually know that I was channeling Aphrodite for this piece. So I think that's just something that's also really cool about spirituality, and especially because I am very tapped into source and to divine, which is, again, channeling the crown chakra. In a lot of ways, it surprises me sometimes how connected I am to source. And that my inner Aphrodite came out naturally in this piece. And this one's a little bit more soft feminine than some of my other works. And yeah, I'm actually really proud of this one. This one, and I'm very big on, so those who are into baths, I love taking ritual baths. It's actually something I do as a ritual for myself during a new moon and a full moon. That's something I do as my own spiritual practice. I take a ritual bath, I put it with some flowers, some essential oils. It's just something I do to help me cleanse all the negative energy, anything I want to release and surrender and let go of. So that's the biggest reason I made this piece, is I wanted to create something where I can show people something that's very important to me and something that I invest my time in every month.
Wow, never heard about, not never heard, but yeah,
Learning
yeah,
something new today.
absolutely. So if someone would like to make or do this spiritual bath, cleansing bath, how would one go about that?
See, the thing is, I do have a book that I bought a long time ago that is pretty in depth with some pretty like intense ingredients and whatnot, but I don't pay attention to that. I think about, depending on what is the intention I'm setting with this bath, for example, I've been feeling really tired lately. I'm feeling a little bit more negative than usual. I have some self-limiting beliefs on myself, and I take a ritual bath or I take a bath where I bring my favorite flower. My favorite flower is a rose. So I like bringing roses to my bath, for example. Yes, I'm a little bit extra. I had flowers in my bath. But I bring my favorite flower and I bring some essential oils. I do have essential oils here at home. So that could be lavender, it can be eucalyptus. So, I mean, it ultimately depends on your intention behind the bath itself. Like, do you want to surrender? You want to let go? There's different oils, there's different herbs that they recommend for these types of rituals that can really help you with that. For those who are into healing crystals as well, I have plenty of healing crystals at home. I have rose quartz, I have clear quartz, a tiger's eye. We've heard of different crystals. Each crystal has a different, what do you want to call it? They have a different purpose. So I typically, depending on, again, what the intention is behind the bath, I will bring certain crystals that are meant to help me with setting that intention. It can get a little bit complicated, but really it's not meant to be complicated. If you want to spiritually cleanse yourself from something that you feel you need to let go of and to surrender, no matter what you bring to your bath, as long as your intention is there to say, I'm no longer allowing any of this to control my life or to affect my life. I'm here to surrender and let go, and just, it's kind of like your own ritual with yourself. So there's no rules. There's no like, you have to do it this way. It's not about that. I think as long as the intention is true and authentic, and that you're putting that energy towards that, what you want will come true from that, So I do that at least twice a month.
Okay, that sounds great. And you said that you tie it to the cycle of the moon, right?
Yes. So the new moon every month and every full moon. So new moons, well, for the new moon and full moon, it really depends. I'm a little bit more specific with these kinds of things, but new moons are all about new beginnings. So you're starting a new cycle, you're ending a cycle and starting a new one. So typically I think about anything that no longer serves me, it's gone. I use that ritual bath to set that intention as an example.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. I might try that. Sounds cool.
You'd be surprised, like just the power of your thoughts can really alter so many things in your life, right? And ritual baths could be another form of, like, say, for those who are into journaling is another way of doing that, right? Just my form of spiritually cleansing myself is through a bath, right? So sometimes I do bring a journal with me to my baths too, and I write down what my intentions are. Some people see more power in writing down their intentions, and I personally don't always do that. I usually just think about it pretty well all day long, and then when it comes to the time for a bath, then it's like, okay, here you go, release it. Sounds taboo, but you'd be surprised. It really has helped me really let go of anything that no longer serves me.
Yeah, it's actually, like, when you think about it, it's not really like so complicated and so like far out. It's everything that you talked about is just about like sort of knowing each other, and like putting it out there, like these intentions into the journal or so on. So just like connecting with yourself. So
Yes.
that's not so strange or taboo concept, and then making sort of like a ritual with giving up something or cleaning yourself from something. It's again just sort of like we all have these sort of rituals, and maybe we don't call them rituals, but yeah, it's just sort of normal part of how people do things. Yeah, even if it's a wedding, funeral, those are the big ones that we always had. But those were always about some sort of intention and closing or just progressing into different part of life or something like that. You said it better, so I'll just stick to that. But
No,
yeah.
right. I mean, yeah, this piece really is just sharing a part of me that not many people know about. That I do spend quite a bit of energy and time into spiritually cleansing anything that no longer serves me in a month. It really does help me get rid of creative blocks as well. So yeah, this is a very important practice for me, and I felt it would be really cool to share that in a piece, and this is what you see right here.
Mm-hmm. I think maybe like interesting. Yeah, so what I wanted to ask, and it actually connects to this. So now we are talking a lot about sort of like Western spirituality and the zodiac and so on. So do you also look into more like Eastern practices, like Chinese? They have their own zodiac as well, and it actually works quite different. And so on. So how do you look at these other spiritual practices?
So like Chinese spirit type spiritual practices, like when I talk about these things, it's not about how do I want to word and phrase this. I don't look as deep as others may think I do. There are many different spiritual practices that I've yet to explore. And some of the Chinese type spiritual practices I would love to read about and learn more about. But I guess in a lot of ways, I don't really have a traditional or a specific, area of spiritual practice. I kind of just, I do base a lot of the rituals I've seen through books or through what's on Instagram. For example, there's a huge spiritual community on Instagram. So typically if I read a ritual or a practice that resonates with me and it seems like something that I would enjoy doing, then I kind of just go for it. I don't think too much about, a specific kind of spiritual practice. So for example, with the Chinese that you were mentioning, I would like to explore more of those because I do feel that it would open me up to another world of spirituality that in different places that I think I can create some more pieces, maybe dedicated to my cleanse collection that may be a little bit more specific. So this gives me an idea. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just curious because maybe like yes, like most of the NFT art is currently in Western Hemisphere and particularly
Right.
in US, then maybe Canada, UK, then long time nothing, and then other parts of the world. But maybe I know some people like from Japan and.
Mm-hmm.
They know some people from China, and there's actually quite a lot of Indians as well.
Right.
People from
Yeah.
artists from India that are coming to the space. So maybe it would be interesting for them, and they are all, or not all, but a lot of people from there are very spiritual, and they have their own deities and rituals and practices. So it might be interesting for
Mm-hmm.
them to sort of compare.
I think it's one of those things where, with especially with the pandemic, that it's obviously very difficult to travel. And I'm very much a travel person. I love to travel, and that's something I want to do is travel all over the world and learn these types of spiritual practices. And even I would love to go to Thailand, for example. I'd love to train Muay Thai over there, and just that's just an example. But it's definitely an area that I would like to explore more, but actually be where be in those exact places where I can learn from to learn such spiritual practices, and not just from the internet, like actually physically be present in that part of the world to learn more about it. So definitely, I think when those opportunities will arise, I think it'll open me up to creating some more pieces kind of like this, but maybe in a different way.
Right. Okay, so let's look at the second one, or actually the first one of the clans series, and let's talk about that one.
Yeah, so that one was inspired by Earth Day. I wanted to make a piece dedicated to Earth Day. So that is what came out of it. It is to date one of my favorite pieces I ever made. And it came very naturally. So going into a little bit of astrology again. So in my birth chart, I have a lot of earth element. So I have a lot of Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo energy. And all three of these signs are earth. The earth element is dominant in my chart. So what that basically means is that even though I'm a fire sign, I'm a Leo, there's more earth than fire in my chart. So with that said, I'm very grounded for a fire sign. And I look to nature to help ground me. And I'm from a small town north of Toronto where I'm pretty well in the boonies. I live basically in the forest. And I'm around nature all the time. And it's just, when I did move to Toronto, that was kind of difficult for me to be in the city, away from nature, because I've kind of lived in nature pretty well for a long time. So when I wanted to create this piece, it actually wasn't difficult for me to create this piece because I am so very connected to the earth, and very much a nature lover. I put this up on foundation, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, again, Odyssey of the Hearts, he's so wonderful. He bought this piece within 24 hours.
Wow.
And I was ecstatic. It was my first auction on foundation, so I was freaking out about that in general. But what was even cooler, that was his first piece he ever collected. Actually, we're each other's first for collectors. I collected one of his Egyptian fantasies on OpenSea as my first piece, and then he collected this one as his first piece. So it's a really cool that we kind of collected from each other for our first. But a really cool experience just happened just last week. A collector reached out to him asking him if he'd be willing to put it on the secondary market. And at first he was reluctant because he loves the piece, and he's like, I don't want to give it up. But the collector offered 1.5 ETH as a price that he would pay to get the piece. And so naturally,
Wow.
he accepted the offer. And so yes, that's what ended up happening. And it was really funny because that same day I was actually talking to a few people who are in this room right now. We have a voice channel on Discord. Well, I think you're in our Discord group now. Yep. And we're on voice channel quite a bit, and we're all just talking and chatting. And Voya, legendary Voya, he's in here too. He placed a bid on one of my other pieces that same day. So I was already like super stoked. And here Andrea was like, hey, Andrea, look at foundation. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, I'm so excited. Like, Voya placed a bid. And he's like, no. Like, go back to foundation and go and check again. And I'm like, what are you talking about? There's no other available pieces in my foundation. And I saw the 1.5 ETH, and I might just, I'm still, it's already been a week, and I'm still hasn't sunk in 100% that happened. So yeah, it was super, super wonderful experience. And, something that also was super, super kind of him. He gave me half the sale. And wow. He didn't have to do that, like he didn't have to. It's his. He can do what he wants, but he gave me half the sale. And as a result, both of us went ahead and bought. We placed bids on other pieces, so we were both able to give back to the community with the sale. So I'm never going to forget this experience. I'm never going to forget what he has done for me. And same with Boya, with placing a bid on on a different piece that same day, that put me as number 1 for secondary sales on foundation for the day, and number 2 in the last 7 days. So without those 2 happening at the same time, I would never reach that milestone in my career. So I have them to thank for that. And because of that, I actually placed a bid on their collaboration. The 2 of them collaborated, and I ended up placing a bid on their piece as a way to show my appreciation. So it's been a very like heartwarming week of there's just so much love in the space. And I'm just so grateful that, one, the fact that, he believes in my work and he wanted to invest in my work, but then being able to experience a secondary sale and be able to share it together, like it's beautiful. It's just wonderful. So I look at this piece and I just smile because so many beautiful things have transpired from my Earth Day piece. Something that's very important to me is the Earth,
Yeah, well, I think on foundation, or especially on foundation, like the secondary cells are not really a big thing, right? So if something like this happens, it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and I never thought that would first of all, I've never thought that it would happen for me. I think it sounds really negative, but really I didn't think it was going to happen, and it did. So I'm still having a hard time like letting that sink in a little bit that it has. I'm grateful really that, this collector apparently has been watching it for a while, and now he has it in his collection. And, it's hard to believe. I think what really first of all, the NFT community is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like I say that with confidence, that I'm here because of everybody who's in this room right now. Like pretty well everybody who's in this room right now, they're everything to me, first of all. But the fact that I've been able to reach such really amazing milestones in such a short amount of time is it's really boosted my confidence with my art. And I need to believe, it basically confirms that I need to believe in myself more. Because, I just can't believe all the beautiful things that have happened since March. Like it's only been since March. Like it hasn't even been a year. It's crazy. So
yeah, it just start. What's going to come next? Exciting.
Yeah. Oh, I see Daisa. I see Yaz. Oh my goodness, I see so many. I see Katya. I'm so happy everybody's here right now.
How did you meet so many great people?
You know what? I asked myself that. Kirsten, Midnight Moon Visuals. Again, I've mentioned her name quite a few times, but she's the one who got me introduced to the Discord group that you're currently in. She's the one who, she got me into collage. She really boosted my confidence in general with my art. She got me into NFTs. She got me into that group. So really, I would say it's her. She's the biggest reason why I've been able to be introduced to so many wonderful people. And it just, sometimes it's all it takes is one person to just meet. Yeah. And I talk to some of these people, pretty well everybody here, I've talked to them on a daily basis. It's, I talk to them more than my core group of friends. You know what I mean? It's like, and I don't know what it means. Like, what's my day like without at least talking to them once in a day? It's weird to me now. It's like, how was I living life before NFTs?
Yeah, I remember when you were on vacation. I
was on vacation and I was still, I can't disconnect because I just love being connected to everybody in the community. And I mean, I still had Wi-Fi, so that the urge to check is, it's there. I even bought an NFT while I was on vacation.
Really? What did you buy?
I don't know if she's here. Her name is Randier. Her work is so beautiful. I bought one of her pieces on OpenSea. I've had my eye on it for about 3 or 4 weeks now. So I knew that once I got the next sale, that she was next on the list. And her and I are actually working on a collaboration right now. So we're hoping to have that hopefully out sometime in August.
All right, nice. Yeah, I love
Mhm.
like coming back to those like secondary sales and art supporting
Yeah.
artists. I think it's like amazing that like maybe if we wouldn't have like crypto and we would be selling it for like the fiat money, then maybe this wouldn't happen, or maybe it wouldn't happen so much. Because I sort of feel that or even I have it like I have my fiat money and they are for the like basic reality stuff, and then I have my crypto money and they are for like the investment in like metaverses, art, and this scene. And I feel that it's maybe similar for a lot of artists, and you can tell me if you feel it in the similar way. Is that like when you sell the artwork, you are like you can convert it into fiat money, but until you do that, it's sort of like this almost like a social currency or something like that. And there's like you almost like want to put it back and give it back to the community and buy something like really interesting, and not just like to get the piece, but to support the artist that's on the other side.
Yeah. Um, it's hard to say really what, without all of this, what life would have been or what the experience would have been had it not gone the way it has. But I almost didn't even get into NFTs. I was terrified to get into NFTs. I knew nothing about crypto. But Kirsten, I've known her for over a year. I consider her to be basically my sister. She's like my best friend, and she knows a few artists who were in the NFT space for a long time, well before the majority of us got into NFTs. So because of her, I trust her, and she said, trust me, just give it a chance. So she's what really got me to take a leap of faith. And that leap of faith was the best decision I ever made. So
Awesome. So let's look at the last one that we have here. Also, for everyone that's in the gallery, I know that the sound isn't working, but the links are. So if you haven't seen the artworks, you can actually click on them and open a new window in your browser. They are directly linked to the NFTs. So you can see them there. You can buy them because all of them are sold, but maybe you can figure out how to get them on the secondary market, as you heard.
Yeah, this piece is called the Age of Aquarius. I actually made it for a new moon in Aquarius back in February. This was even before I got into NFTs. And this is probably one of the most powerful pieces I've ever made. Let me get into a little bit more astrology lingo again. My North Node is an Aquarius, and Aquarius energy is all about rebellionism to humanitarianism, change, just revolutionary change is really what Aquarius energy is all about. And I just keep seeing something about, sorry, I keep seeing too many messages coming in and out of here. This Aquarian energy, like I said, is all about that. So when I was creating this piece, I really wanted to really show that rebellious, that revolutionary type change that we're going to see, because we were in a different age for a long time and different energies before the month of February, and that's when we started seeing a lot more changes happening with the pandemic, for example. But either way, this was a piece that was very different compositionally that I've never attempted before. Typically, I have less elements. This was a lot more busier than most of my pieces, but again, I like trying to get out of my comfort zone and try and do something different. And Aquarian energy is all about being unique and being different. So I felt like to really create the piece, I kind of didn't have a choice but to get out of that comfort zone that I normally am in. This was up for probably the longest out of all of my NFTs. But I didn't give up on it. I believed in it. And it ended up being sold to Webmiser, big collector in the community. And it all just happened from just connecting with them on Twitter. No expectations at the time. I like connecting with a lot of people over on Twitter, and we were having, it's actually a really funny story, but we were doing a GIF war. We were just sending GIFs to each other back and forth on Twitter. And that party turned into him wanting to buy my piece, because I felt like, I think one of the things that I feel strongly about is that he really does like connecting with other artists in the community. And I really feel that's a factor. It just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And I do notice that a lot of the pieces he does collect have more of a darker feel to it. And obviously this piece does have a little bit of a darker energy to it. So I was pretty stoked and pretty excited that he decided to collect this one, because it's one of my favorite darker pieces I've ever made.
Oh, also, Reswix saying that this piece was the first in the Cyber Spotlight show.
Yes, it was. Yes, Katya, you're the best. I totally forgot about this. So yeah, Katya, myself, and Naked Toys, we were all in the first Cyber Spotlight show. I think it was over a month or 2 months ago now. I don't even remember anymore. But yeah, this was the first. This piece ended up being showcased in their first Spotlight show. I was nominated on Twitter by the community, and myself, and Naked Toys won out of the categories that we were in, so that we all got to experience it at the same time. So I was pretty stoked that this is the one that ended up being showcased.
Nice. Congratulations. Well, 2 months back, but still.
Yeah, it was worth the wait. I didn't give up on it. It was there for at least a month and a half, 2 months. This one was a little bit longer than some of my other ones, but I didn't give up on it.
It's nice.
So I'm glad someone believed in it.
That's cool. I love it. Awesome. So maybe this would be a good time for people that are on Zoom or on Twitch or in here, probably if everyone is on one of those, to ask their questions if you have some. Feel free to, if you are on Zoom, you can actually unmute yourself and you can talk. If you are on Twitch, well, you can do that. So you can type. So feel free to do that.
I love questions, so please feel free. I love answering questions. I'm an open book. Just go ahead.
Yeah, on this artwork, I actually really like how it's how the reality is shattering almost, and
Yeah.
you are getting the real reality behind it, or the new reality behind it. That's cool.
And yeah, it's all about change, and you see like the city in the background. It kind of gives it that Atlantis feel. I called it my Atlantis piece for the longest time, because that's pretty much what it reminds me of. You see at the top, you see the water to the surface. So that's what I kind of wanted, was that Atlantis kind of feel. But it's funny because I didn't realize that I was making an Atlantis inspired piece till the very end. It seems to be a big trend with a lot of my work, is that I don't actually realize what I'm making until I'm done. So somebody told me after, hey, this reminds me of Atlantis. Shit, it kind of does, eh? So,
yeah.
So
it's actually it nicely fits in this gallery and in the metaverse, because it's almost like this another dimension that we can go exploring.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
cool.
That's
kind of what I was going for. So.
Oh, really? Oh, nice. I love it. Cool. So yeah, well, everyone already knows you probably. So they
pretty
don't.
well, yeah.
They don't have.
From what I can see,
they don't
pretty
have
well
any
everybody
questions.
in this room I know.
Do you have anything that you would like to share that I haven't asked you?
Nothing really at the top of my head. It's just I think I asked you before when you were asking me for which pieces to be a part of the gallery. I asked you if you had any favorites out of the five, or out of the 4 or 5 that are here. Do you have a favorite? And what about it is why is your favorite? And what does it say to you? Like, what kind of story does it tell you?
Yeah, I really like the one behind the stage for the it's full of water, but still, to me, it screams the fire, and
Yeah.
it's really like the sort of enlightenment story,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
with the like the how I understand it, the crown chakra is the last one to open up. You can't just like skip. Don't do the one below and just do the last one because it would probably mean like a really bad thing for you. It's the final step, and yeah, it just feels like very calm, but at the same time like very transformative, and
Right.
yeah.
I like that. That's really cool. That's the vibe you get from it. I really feel that the sacred geometry that I added in the piece really just added to it. Like the symbol that you see behind her.
Yeah.
That was a plan. That was a last minute thing. I'm like, I feel like there's something missing with this piece. And at the time I was actually talking to Kirsten about this. I said, I like to add a little bit more symbols and more sacred geometry to my work. So that conversation we had just before creating this piece kind of came up, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to add a rendition of the symbol of water in there because it is a water sign.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what prompted me to add that to the piece, and I think that's what really made the entire piece is that symbol. So I'm really happy to hear that that's what resonated with you with that one. Like I said, that one was very surprising. I was surprised at the reaction I got from that one. So I think this is going to inspire me probably to make more works with more symbols and more sacred geometry in the future.
Yeah, I think like how this works for me, the sacred geometry is not like a symbol, but more like the realization of the whole idea, that it's as I said, like how I see it, it's about sort of this enlightenment or opening of this crown chakra, the last one. So then you sort of can do anything almost, like and this symbol or the sacred geometry behind it, and especially how it's created, it's like emanates from the it's really hard to describe for me. Just goes from the opening of the chakra, so it's more like a realization of some idea into the world,
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, before NFTs, when I first started my business, when I didn't really know what I wanted to create, because the problem is I always have too many ideas. That's actually an issue I have, is I have too many ideas. There's just so many avenues and places I can explore with spirituality. So at the time, I decided to dedicate each month to the 7 chakras. So for 7 months, I dedicated each month to each chakra. So the first month being the root chakra. So I started, I believe, in June, and then I ended it in December with the crown chakra. That actually really helped me understand the chakras at a more in-depth level. Because I knew what each of the 7 were, but I didn't really know too much about them. So it really gave me an opportunity to, first of all, open each one, and find ways of how I can tap into each of these chakras when I feel they're out of balance. So this kind of gives me an idea to potentially explore maybe making a series of a piece dedicated to each chakra, maybe with their symbols as well. Because all the symbols are so beautiful for the chakras.
Amazing. Then the last question that I probably have is what's next for you? What's next for Andrea?
So I minted one of my illustrations today on OpenSea. I originally was going to put it on Hikanook, but I actually got a very strong reaction from Twitter, and I really was attached to this piece, and I felt like she was way too special. So I made her into a one-of-one edition on OpenSea today. So I did that, and I'm currently also working on brainstorming and figuring out what I'm going to do for my Maker's Place Genesis. I was accepted into Maker's Place about 2 weeks ago. So I'm trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do for it, because I want it to be, set a good impression. Just like how I did with Foundation, I wanted to drop one of my best pieces. I want to go a different route, because I'm also an abstract painter. I don't know how I can integrate my other medium with what I do now with my digital art, but I've been trying to write down ideas and find ways of how I can do that. So adding some of my potential paintings as backdrops and adding collage and digital elements on top, that's kind of where I'm going right now. But I've yet to really brainstorm and explore. It's actually very difficult. I find the one thing that I struggle with is finding time to experiment. Like, you know what I mean? Like I have time to make pieces that I'm used to making in the times that I do have. But when it comes to experimenting, I find that I really lack in time for that. And I think in August, I'm going to be spending a little bit more time experimenting and not necessarily minting as much, so that I'm able to give it that time and energy. So hopefully you're going to see a Genesis on Maker's Place in August. I also have 2 collaborations coming up. I'm doing one with Kirsten, Midnight Moon Visuals, and I'm also doing one with Brandier. So you're going to see 2 of those as well in August.
Oh, amazing. Love collaborations. There's always something fresh in them, something new.
Yeah, well, they're both going to be completely different too. With Kirsten, her and I both do very similar styles of work, so that's very natural to us. But with Randir does more 3D type work, and I'm more 2D, so it's going to be more of a challenge. But we just had a brainstorming session last weekend, and we like the direction of where we want to go with our piece. So I think it's going to be really fun for us to just get out of our comfort zone and find a way to integrate both styles. So I think it's going to be fun.
Cool. Amazing. So with that, thank you so much for your time. Thank you everyone for accommodating my technical trouble. We made it. We have half of the people on Zoom, half of the people on Twitch, and some sort of intersection here in the gallery, which is really not how I pictured it, but you guys had the best. We made it work. So hopefully it's okay. Also, the special thanks to Laserloo that noticed that I'm trying super hard to not say yeah, I know that it's losing battle, but he noticed that I'm getting better. So thank you for that. Yeah, it's after 4 months, it's maybe 10% better. So after a year or 2, I might get good at it. So that's cool. And also, if you are interested, you can actually explore the gallery a little bit more. In the first floor, that's of course the exhibition of Andrea. It will be here for a week, and then we will have another exhibition with another artist, similar as this one, but hopefully without any technical troubles. And on the second floor, you can actually see mine NFTs if you are interested in them. Those are artist cards. Oh, thank you, Laser. Yeah, so those are artist cards. I'm making them, or I will be making them together with one artist, Andy Roots, to basically as commemorative or sort of memories to this exhibition. So for every artist that have exhibition in this gallery or another gallery that I have in Somnium Space, the artists that want, I will be minting these artist cards, and people can buy them. Currently, this for the first artist that was featured in the gallery, Nyla Hayes. There are 2 editions, one that's signed by Nyla herself, and the second one that's a little bit more basic, and they are sort of ways how to fund the gallery. and also get one of these collectibles. Also, one of the special editions one, it's a sort of cool idea that we come up together with Andy, is that one will be for the artist. So it will be gift to the artist, so in this case to Naila. Another one will be for Andy as the artist that created them. One will be for me. I will be then placing them in one gallery, sort of like memory room for what we did, and one will be auctioned. So a couple of or like 6 of the regular editions were already sold, and the one for the special edition, it's still open for bid, and they will, at the end of the month, I will burn all the remaining editions, and no more will be ever minted. So if you are interested in those, you can buy them, and next time we'll be doing edition of artist card of Laura. It's taking a little bit longer than we thought, but it's going to be next one, and then a couple more people, Daisa that was here as well, and more artists.
I love it. I love it. Thank you very, very much for having me for a second time and my first time here and showcasing my work. I really, really appreciate it. It looks absolutely beautiful. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been here from the very beginning to the very end. I really appreciate all of you, and I love you all so much. Thank you for being here.
It's such a great community. Thank you everyone for coming and listening. If you came late, you will be able to get on the Twitch /artifixuz the recording of this event. Let's do a little bit dance at the end. Everyone does here in the gallery. And also the video will be uploaded to YouTube. I love
Perfect.
This. So thank you all for watching, and have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you, everybody.